What's up, guys? You're with Mike and welcome to a new video. So today I learned what I consider to be the explicit best, fastest, and most productive way to expand your nation, period. Now, it happens to be through diplomacy, but I learned this. Some people are going to be aware of this. However, a lot of my community was not aware of this, and I think it's absolutely broken. So I wanted to share that with you guys in case you do not understand. So we're playing Muscovy here. This is my vassal swarm. There's a setting to make your vassals have the same country color as you, which is really cool. And I'm really enjoying Muscovy. You can catch this game 6 days a week here live on YouTube or over on my Twitch channel if you're interested. With that being said, the way you need diplomats, I actually have, I don't know if you can see it behind me, a ton of diplomatic activity, which is doing a lot on my maintenance. But what you want to do is go to subject actions and seize territory. Basically, long story short, this is the mechanic and it's absolutely broken. My previous video was based around the Teutonic Order and how broken they are. I don't think this is as broken, but for better or for worse, this is the most productive thing you can do in terms of expanding your country. That's my opinion. So maybe a little bit of tweaking is in order, and I'm going to showcase why. These are all of my different vassals, and of course you can seize territory. It's just like the EU4 mechanic when you seize territory. Well, I remind you that in EU4, it actually has a certain amount of liberty desire based on the amount that you take in terms of development. Well, here we have 22,000 in this. That's the largest. We'll sort actually to show clearly. And you gain 20 liberty desire. That's it. Whereas the lowest, this is over 4 times as large. It's the same, 20 liberty desire. So first, right off the bat, this is kind of broken, right? Because it's 20 no matter what. That means that if you vassalize somebody and, you know, maybe you release them, right? So you full annex them, you release them, they have no artificial liberty desire. Well, you can now take 2 provinces from them straight up. Okay, so keep that in mind, and then your liberty desire modifier is declining. It is worth considering the culture, because if you take a foreign culture, what we're going to want to do is focus on our culture or focus on another culture that we've promoted. So Tuvera is the perfect example here, right? We're going to seize land right now. Seize territory. I'm going to take the largest development province, and I'm going to show you that due to the fact that he has integrated the province, and this is very important and key, that's basically his core and it's my culture, well, we will actually instantly call the province, or we'll do it at the end of the month. So I also annexed a 1 province minor, just ignore that, but you can see we have cores. That was my 1 province minor up here, and the province that I just seized cord and integrated straight up. So this can be abused by so much because, again, I could take another province from Tavir. You can see right now I do not have a liberty desire modifier popping up. It's just 20. That's fine. So you can take 2 provinces per subject, guys. So now I can do Rizan and this guy and that guy. It's crazy. It's really, really, really strong. And, you know, if you compare, yes, it's only 1 county or 2 at a time, but how else, this is my integration map mode, do you expand in this game? Anything else that you do is going to be a lot slower than that. I can get county after county after county through diplomacy, fully integrated into the country. And, you know, it's crazy. So in EU4, of course, it would be uncored. While in this game, you know, these are custom nations and that I've created, and they do not begin with cores, and they are beginning to use their own cabinet members to integrate the provinces. I've given them 2 each. So they have 2 cabinet members, and they should be speeding these up, hopefully, which is a lot faster than I would be able to if I own the land. And also, they give more contribution than me, as a vassal, than me owning the trash land, right? Everybody knows that. But the real interesting nations are, of course, the historical tags that you vassalize or fully annex, release, and then just start taking their land. Now, other advantages, of course, are if you take the high development provinces, taking any province is going to reduce the amount that they cost to be diplo-annexed as well. And when you diplo-annex a nation, you get all of their cores. So you could say that you're playing Hungary. You don't have to have a crazy vassal swarm. Even if Wallachia is too large to vassalize, and you annex some of their country, half of their country, wait 4 or 5 years, annex the rest of their country, then release them as a vassal. They now have full core. You immediately take 2 cores off them, boom, fully integrated. in terms of a roadmap, maybe that takes 10 years. How else are you going to get 2 cores fully integrated in 10 years? You can't, basically. But of course, now the Liberty Desire is going down over time. You can improve relations with them, etc., and take more and more and more over time. And then you can begin annexing them. And then as you take provinces, the rate at which you annex them is reduced, especially when you're taking the high population provinces. And lo and behold, after enough time has passed, you have full core on all of Wallachia, but it's the most efficient way to expand as well. Okay, I wanted to talk about a couple other tips which aren't as significant, but before we do that, I'm just going to rant about Diplo reputation a little bit, because Diplo reputation, if you go to your Diplo tab, relations here, you can see a summary of your reputation. Now we've got 6.6, which is not very high, to be honest. Diplo reputation is going to allow you to Diplo vassalize as you go throughout the game, as well as just grab, you know, all sorts of relations and so on as well, and it might affect Liberty Desire, I'm not sure. But ways that you can improve your Diplo reputation, this is going to be really important also for another tip that I have coming up. But the main ones, guys, are the government reform. So some can't, but many nations do have at least one reform available in the beginning of the game. And one of them, if you want to go a Diplo route, is diplomatic traditions, giving you +3 here. Definitely worth considering, especially because it gives you progress to consolatory each month, which we're about to talk about next. Very powerful. I actually think this is one of the better reforms, given how strong diplomacy is. In my case, I just got access to this one recently. You can see efficiency of our cabinet and centralization. Pretty damn nice itself, so I switched that over. But next up, let's talk about consolatory. So consolatory versus belligerent, you actually gain reputation here. But not only that, belligerent has negative reputation, so that's not always the case. For example, if we look at aristocracy here, you gain discipline with aristocracy, but then you do not lose discipline with plutocratic. In the case of belligerent versus consolatory, you gain reputation and lose reputation, meaning at any point, if you're progressing towards consolatory monthly, and a way that you can do that is to put a cabinet member to change your values, okay, to consolatory, and then month after month, you will actually be getting a small amount of modifier towards your reputation. Other things to consider are prestige, which can be very difficult to keep up. That does reputation. You can also do a task here to go diplomatic endeavors, giving you a big chunk of reputation. It does 2. As you can see when you put it on. But this cabinet member has over 100, you can see high Diplo, 130% efficiency, meaning it's going to be more like 5, guys, when we chuck on that 5 reputation, just like that. So if you do this plus the cabinet plus the best thing you could do is change your values, and you'll be building reputation like crazy fast, and that can help you, for example, ally or maintain more powerful nations. Next little tip, with that being said, this is just a minor thing, but in case people like me have overlooked it, if you go to diplomatic actions, unfortunately, it only shows you the things that you could potentially do, guys. Really irritating, and it's a flaw in the UI design. So there, for example, is no request money here, ask for money. But then when I click on a nation, you can see ask for money. So if you're relying on this actions to summarize stuff, which is what I did, because it's quite clear, you know, who can I curry favors with? Well, unfortunately, the UI sucks, and you're going to miss out on a lot of things. So you have to know to click on a nation, to go to a tab, and to look for an action, because if you don't know where to find it, you're not going to find it and know that you can do it. Very frustrating. But as you can see, you can ask for money. Now, you can actually curry favors. I don't have a diplomat available. You can curry favors, which will generate favors, but you will not get 25, which is required to take money. There's sort of a cap in this game. What you're going to want to do is ally the nation, okay? So that's why I was talking about diplomacy, because if you're playing certain nations that start with a lot of consolatory, and you play the diplomatic focus, increasing your reputation, you can ally nations like Bohemia quite easily when you're significantly weaker than them. And if you look here, generate favors over time, you can grab, in this case, 315 ducats, but we're quite early in the game, and I've seen it go up over 500. People have sent me screenshots where people are getting 2,000 ducats, which I think is the cap, from nations asking for money. It's just favors. It's just favors. So if you're not aware of this, you know, a lot of the things you do for your economy are quite trivial compared to that, right? Boom. ask money. Next up, another little tip here that I've learned. You can see that I have a levy raised, guys. Now, some people are going to have some manpower. They're going to have the manpower building you can invest into, which will generate you manpower. You can see here that I am losing manpower to the Tartar yoke, which needs to be broken. That's basically our tribute we're paying to the Golden Horde. Very irritating, and I need to deal with that going forward. But inevitably, most nations, maybe you're very weak, maybe you can't afford that, maybe you have a similar issue. Well, when you raise levies, you can see that I have 88 out of my 6,000 raised, and I simply didn't dismiss the smaller stack while I'm at peace, so that I can have somebody from my royal family govern it, and boom, that's giving me extra crown land while I'm at peace. So each time you can't go to war when you have your levies raised, but I could dismiss this before going to war, raise my levies, and then delete all of my levies apart from the smallest little one. So I thought I'd give you those tips to you guys. I hope that benefited you. I'm improving every day, and I hope to make better, more informative content in the future. But I hope that benefited you, that you learned something you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video, guys.